morning, guys. We're standing here at the Speccy 30 Racing Camp for NASA. It's an interesting spot to do a piece here on NASA, National Auto Sport Association. It's an amateur racing club, one of the premier clubs in the United States. Now, I wanted to introduce you to all that. The most common question that I get all the time, is how do I get my car on the track? Oh, yeah, you guys race cars, or can I take my car out on the track, and how do I do it, and so on and so forth. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk to a couple people, and we're going to get the ins and outs of how to get on track. Believe it or not, NASA has the best program. It's called an HPDE program, a High Performance Driver Education Program. It has 4 tiers: HPD1, HPD2, HPD3, and HPD4. You start off at 1 with an instructor. So we're going to interview a couple people here. The reason why we're at the Speccy 30 camp is because Lewis is the head instructor, and we would like to talk to him. So we'll go hunt him down, and then we'll start off with talking to him a little bit about what he looks for and how he prepares the students and the instructors for HPD1. Now, let me just digress a little bit and explain a few things to you. Those 4 tiers are different skill levels, obviously. So you can bring your street car. All you have to do is make sure you have it teched, you have the proper safety equipment, helmets, what have you. We're going to go over all that in detail. But also, what you want to do is make sure that your car is is prepared in the sense that it has the proper brake pads, brake fluid, the brakes are bled, you got good tires on there, tire pressures, what have you. You sign up for NASA, you go on there, you have to pay for membership, so on and so forth, and then you obviously sign up for HPD1, and there'll be an instructor assigned to you that you'll be able to go out on the track sessions. I think you get 4 track sessions a day and instruction, and that's part of your fee. Once you learn enough, you can move to HPD2, which is, and then after that, the same thing, HPD3. And every time you move up a group, you have to have a check ride. So somebody like me will give you a check ride to make sure you can go to the next level. Now, very briefly, what is the difference between HPD1, 2, 3, and 4? Well, we spoke a little bit about HPD1, where you have an instructor, naturally. HPD2 is, again, at beginner level, but you graduate to where you're solo now. You don't have to have an instructor in the car. HPD1 and HPD2 are on the track together. Now, you can't pass except for the designated passing zones in HPD1 and HPD2. And you can only do that by point by. So if I'm the driver, I point this way for the guy to pass me, and I point over the top of the roof for the guy to pass me on the other side. So that's how it's done, and there's designated passing spots. Most commonly, or actually, it's the straightaways. I mean, that's the only place really where you're allowed to pass the HPD1, HPD2. Once you go to HPD3, now you can pass anywhere with the point by. So you can pass in the middle of a turn and so on and so forth. The next level, HPD4, it's open passing. So it's the very fast group. And then you basically can pass anybody, anywhere, anytime, and it's done without a point by or anything like that. That obviously, those are the most experienced drivers. Most of our instructors go to HPD4. Last but not least, we have the 2 competition levels that NASA offers. The next natural progression, if you wanted to compete, instead of just running around the track, you can do time trials. Okay, and of course you have to meet certain requirements for that. But with time trials, you can bring your car here and compete. You can with tires, you can with brake pads, a lot of consumable stuff. There's a lot of sponsors, and you can with championships, regional, break track records, and so on and so forth. I'd be fortunate enough to have some success in that, and it was really a lot of fun. The next progression, of course, is the racing class. If you look around behind me right here, you see the Speccy 30 BMW camp. Okay, so these are all race cars, dedicated race cars, and obviously it's just your common racing that you see on TV and so on and so forth. We utilize Road Circus, Sebring, Homestead here in Florida, PBIR certain times, and of course NASA is a national organization, so we can go with your membership and your license, you can go drive in other regions. The country's divided in different regions. So you go to the southeast, you can drive Road Atlanta, you can drive Watkins Glen in the northeast, Mid-Ohio. So basically you can drive some of the premier tracks in the world. So that's in a very short summation what NASA is all about. If you want to ask me more questions, you can reach me, Jim@performancetrade.com. You can go on our website, performancetrade.com, info@performancetrade.com, and you can contact me. I'd be more than happy to discuss this more in detail, help you guys prepare a car if you want to get on track, or really introduce you to the right people. It's a lot of fun. It's the greatest sport in the world, and it's done safely. And I promise you, you will drive your car the fastest you've ever driven it, and you're going to be very safe doing it. It's much safer than being on the highway, I can guarantee you. All right, so let's go talk to a couple of people. All right, I promised you guys that we would start talking to some people about the program, wonderful program at NASA. We have our NASA Florida Regional Director here, and he's going to tell us a little more. We're going to ask him a couple questions, and his name is Jim Vandervliet. And Jim, tell us a little bit about what makes NASA different than most of these weekend clubs.
Well, the big thing about NASA is we're nationally based out of California. There's 16 regions throughout the country. The advantage is we work through a central office. I currently run the Florida region, and NASA is different in terms of how we're set up, is that we run 3 different programs here. We run what we call HPDE, we run a group called Time Trial, and then we actually do wheel-to-wheel racing. The advantage to that is, unlike the other clubs, by having all 3, is for drivers that want to get in with their street cars, effectively it gives them the opportunity to get onto track and run some of the best tracks in the country, everything from California to the Northeast down to Florida. And in addition to that, get involved in something called Time Trial, or that's guys that like to race competitively against the clock but not wheel-to-wheel racing. And third of all is the actual wheel-to-wheel racing between different car classes.
That's fantastic. Now, the number one question that we always get, racing car fans, racing fans, automobile fans, they always dream about, we watch races on TV, they always dream about, oh wow, how do I get on that iconic racetrack like Sebring or Mid-Ohio or Watkins Glen or any racetrack for that matter. I mean, it's a dream that for most people they think it's unattainable. I mean, could you tell us a little bit, explain to these guys that it is attainable, doesn't cost that much, and it's something that you can get done without being a professional, quote-unquote professional driver.
Yeah, that's a lot of things people don't realize. To be able to get onto track, you don't have to have a full-bore race car with all the safety gear that's required on a regular race car. The advantage with the HPD group is effectively there's 4 levels in HPD at NASA, HPD 1, 2, 3, and 4. HPD 1 is geared for drivers that have never been on the track before, and we pair them up with an instructor, and safety being the ultimate concern is they will stay in the HPD 1 group until they're ready to graduate. Always will have an instructor on track. Once you get to that, you advance to what they call an HPD 2 group, which allows you to drive solo, but in a combined group in a controlled environment. And then you can advance to HPD 3 and 4, where the drivers get a little faster, a little quicker, and the passing restrictions kind of ease up. The advantage to it with the people that want to drive with NASA is you don't need a full-bore race car. As I mentioned, you can take any street car that you have out there, with certain exceptions. Convertibles are totally acceptable, provided you have what we call factory rollover pop-up protection, or if you have something like a Miata, having a roll bar protection in it on some of the older Miatas. So converters are totally okay. The only issue that we do have a problem with is once you start going to big trucks, SUVs, minivans are not permitted. But we have everybody ranging from Mini Coopers to Honda Fits to Corvettes, to Mustangs, Camaros. We pretty much have a gamut of every vehicle that's actually on the track, and all are acceptable to drive. What we'll do is when you first sign up for an event, you're required to bring your car to what we call an HPD inspection. Every track does it before a driver's allowed on track. And we have our tech people that go over the car, make sure everything is safe. They'll take a look at it in terms of to make sure you don't have brake problems, tire problems, or whatever, so you're safe, because that's the ultimate concern. And effectively after that, we pair you up with an appropriate instructor, and you go from there. It's actually the best program that I've seen. I've been racing for over 20 years. I started off in the HPD group originally, and I kind of advanced my way up to the point where I went from there to the time trial to the racing, and I've kind of stayed. And as I said, I still at this point drive HPDE, I still race, and still try to run these events. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't.
Well, you were supposed to race this weekend, and you didn't.
I was supposed to.
And stop mentioning how many years we've been at this, because it was showing our age.
Yeah.
And that's no good. Well, we're going to talk to Luis Jimenez. He's the chief instructor. He's going to go a little bit more into detail about all that. I'm glad you touched a little bit about safety, because one of the things that another misconception that people have is the safety issue. Now I always tell people, I could go wheel-to-wheel racing with any of these guys all weekend long, and I never have any fear in my bones or my body. I have 3 kids at home, and I don't really worry about it. But yet, when I get on one of the major highways, I'm nervous as hell, because the other guys don't really know what they're doing. So, but for the guy that's coming out for an HPDE, how do we handle the safety issue? What minimal equipment are they going to need?
Well, for anybody starting out in HPD, really the equipment that you actually need to have is basically a current helmet that's approved by NASA. All the information regarding on what's the requirements that are needed are all posted on the website. Besides that, your car just needs to be clean, well maintained. Standard seatbelts, you don't need a racing harness, you do not require a Hans. That's only required once you get to the higher race group divisions. But effectively you could effectively come out here with a helmet and you can race. The general feeling is as you get faster, a lot of the guys decide safety is the biggest concern, as we always stress, and they'll start upgrading some of their equipment on the cars. And the feeling is the faster you get, usually the more safety equipment you need. But once you're getting into the race mode, for the guys that ultimately want to become a race car driver, we are requiring full race guard, just that you'll see as any IMSA race, NASCAR, full suits, gloves, fire retardant, Nomex, Hans devices for neck restraint. But you mentioned the question regarding on safety issue. Granted, there's more accidents you'll find driving up and down the highway in the United States than you'll ever find here on the track. Yeah, granted, there's little bumps and grinds here and there, but there's never, and I'm not going to say never, anything that's usually out of the ordinary, which we see all weekend long. Most of the issues for the beginner drivers is just getting the comfort level of being on an environment. Remember, this is a closed environment. We have full safety workers, fire protection, ambulances, qualified instructors, and at the same point, the best chief instructors, along with our tech people, I think, in the entire country.
Fantastic. I'm not going to take up too much of your time. I know you're very busy, man. Guys, this guy runs around all weekend long. Like I said, he was supposed to race this weekend. He was looking forward to it. The car is still parked outside the trailer waiting for his little guy to get in it and start driving around. We got one more race to go. Maybe he'll make that race. But listen, one last thing I want to ask you, because it's really important. I know you guys can get a hold of me, Jim at PerformanceTrade.com. If you have any questions, go to our website. But also, I'd like to go to Jim was going to tell you how you can contact him. Any questions, we're open to any questions. The more the merrier. The more people we can get out on the track, that better off it's going to be. And there's nothing better than watching you smile on somebody that's dreamed of coming to the track and getting that opportunity and having the time of their lives on the weekend. I mean, you have a smile at the end of the weekend I've seen that you can't carve out with a chisel. So, Jim, tell us a little bit how we can contact you if we need to, how they can get on the website, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, actually, NASA has 2 main websites. The main website for the national office is nasaproracing.com, and each individual region has their own website as well, which is linked into the main site. And the local website down here in Florida is Drive, DRIVE, NASA, NASAFL.com. All you have to do is go onto there. It'll pretty much tell you everything regarding general event instructions. It'll have all my contact information between my cell phone and my email. And I welcome anybody to call. And as Jim, as you know, I'm reachable 24/7. My job is for you guys to get out here. I think at the same point as our last event we did in October here, we hosted we had 32 new drivers that have never been on track before. Yeah. And the funny part is they all had a fantasy about being able to drive on track, and a good portion of them all came back from this event. That's right. And they're having a great time, and everybody has a great time. We throw a great social event here as well. But really the key to it is we stress the fact with family here with NASA, it's not just the racers. We want the racers, we want the HPD guys, we want the wives and the children. Everybody is always welcome here, and it's just one big kind of happy family.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Jim. Go back at it.
My pleasure.